Hey y'all, I'm Kimberland.
Hey, brown girl. In a world that is set up to make you question who you are, take this time to reconnect to your greatness and speak to the inner depths of your soul. Your grace is undeniable. Your confidence is envied. You radiate and shine in every space you occupy. It's time to take back your power and remember who you are. Take a deep breath. Release all doubt and repeat after me. Today, I choose to walk in peace that will not be disturbed. I will allow my mind to exist in my unlimited future. I am breaking cycles of trauma on my bloodline. I will take up space without shrinking. My ideas will impact generations to come. I belong in the rooms that I walk into. Today, I will effortlessly walk in purpose. I attract peace and abundance. When my feet touch the floor, the day stands at attention. I am calm, confident, powerful, and filled with love. I trust myself to explore the possibilities of my heart's desires. Today, I rise with the power of my ancestors. It is okay to rest from productivity. I will live my dreams out loud. Creativity flows effortlessly through me. Emotions are welcome in my space and in my body. I am overflowing with abundance. It is time to create again. It is time to dream again. Every breath brings more joy, more peace, and more healing. I belong in every room that I walk into. Radical rest is my birthright. I inhale confidence and exhale doubt. Today, I choose gratitude. It is okay to not be okay. My testimony will be someone else's survival guide. I give myself grace and space on my journey. I show up every day as my full and complete self. Growth is difficult, but I trust that I am strong enough to do it. I will always be enough. I trust myself to set boundaries that will protect my peace. My peace is my superpower. Every step in the right direction is a step in the right direction. I believe I will receive what I need at the exact time that I need it. Someone smiled today because I am still here. I believe in my ability to do things that scare me. I put out the energy I wish to receive. I will stop apologizing for being myself. My mistakes do not define me. I was put on this earth to walk out my unique purpose. I let go of drama and embrace peace. I am attracting people that align with my peace and my joy. I am continuing to heal every day that I continue to breathe. I am confident that things are working out for my good. If it doesn't bring me joy, it isn't welcome in my space. I only strive to be a better version of myself. As I walk, I shine my light on my journey of purpose. I decide to wake up each morning and choose joy. I am manifesting my happiest self. Brown girl, it's time to shine.
Hey y'all, I'm Kimberland, and this is the Frolicking Truth, a soft space for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal. Here, joy meets justice. We calm our Black-ass nervous systems, we unmask, and we leave behind whatever that is trying to kill us. You're seen here, you're safe here, and you don't have to do this alone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Saturday. I want to make sure my sound is working. Hello, hello. Yeah, very good. All right. We are in here and ready. Ooh, child. It's also hot. Happy Saturday to you. All right, let me get up all of my things here so we can get started. Hold on, y'all. I got a fan for a minute. Hold on. It's a little warm. Y'all see Raina? We're gonna get into the things in just a little bit. We're gonna get into the things, but yeah, hold on. Let me take a minute to just cool myself off for a second and put up all these electronic devices that I have so we're able to see what's the what and what's going on with the what's. All right, let me put that on live. Wonderful. All right, so I can see the chat. I can see you all. I can see myself. And y'all see Raina. All right, let me go ahead and get started. I may have to fan from time to time because perimenopause, it be like that sometimes. It really do. It really do be like that. But hey, y'all. Come on in here, find a comfortable spot, take a seat. I am grateful to have you here for episode 40 of the Frolicking Truth, y'all. We grown now. We are grown now, child. We done got 40 years, I was about to say 40 years, 40 weeks of time coming here and talking about the things, the joy, the justice, the nervous systems, and all the things that are here, right? So shout out to us and shout out to episode 40 of the Frolicking Truth podcast for Black women who are tired, brilliant, and ready to heal, where joy meets justice and our nervous systems get free. It is okay if you do not identify with any of those descriptors. You are more than welcome here. It just means that when you come ready to listen, ready to learn, and ready to support. My name is Kimberland. Hello. And this is my little corner of the world here in the Frolicking Truth over here on the Mind of My Black Ass Business Network. And I'm excited to be here. I have a lot that I need to tell you all. I have some updates and then, we need to get into the things. But first, y'all, I got to cool off for a second. Okay. Now, I am here live. This is me right here, right now, today. Okay. On Saturday, February 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Okay. This is me right here, right now, today. So if you are watching, please do come on into the live chat so that you can share your thoughts, your ideas, all of the things. You can give me feedback and you help to co-create the show. So please do come into the live chat if you are watching. If you are watching during the replay, go ahead and drop me some sunflowers in the comments, okay? That is the way that you are able to send me love and like, yes, girl, clock that T, all the things. That is how you can do that with the sunflower emoji. And if you're here in the chat, go ahead and drop some sunflowers in the chat for me, okay? All right, I think I'm cool enough now. I think we can go ahead and move on and get into the things. So the first thing that y'all probably noticed when you got in here, child, is Raina got a chop, y'all. Raina is my hair, in case you're like, who the hell is she talking about? Raina is my hair. And previously, there was a lot much more of Raina, but Raina got a chop. She lost some weight. She lost some inches. Okay, shout out to Raina, losing inches. All right. And so I'm really excited about this change that I have done with my hair. It has been a long time coming. If you all have been watching for a while, you've heard me say, because every week I do a Raina update, and I tell y'all what's going on because my mission has been to fall back in love with my hair, maybe fall in love for the first time. I don't know that I was ever in love with my hair, but now I am. Okay, me and Raina got a thing going on now. So anyways, I have been saying over the past few weeks, like, I don't know to what end we're going to keep growing hair because one thing I know how to do is grow some hair. Okay. And so to what point, like, when do we stop this hair growing situation? And it kind of got to a place where I was thinking to myself, that I was thinking a lot about my hair and I felt like Raina wasn't like really giving what I wanted her to give, like for real, for real. So it was time for a change, and I just had a birthday. So I was like, what better time than now to do a situation and switch things up, right? Now, the last time that I did a chop or a serious cut or a serious change was in 2020 when I originally chopped off all of my relaxer and I entered the world of natural hair. So it's been a minute. That's been like 6 years. Okay. And then after that, I feel like the last professional cut that I got was in probably 2021, maybe 22 at the latest, because I used to have like fire engine red hair for a minute. And I got that done at the salon, right? Since then, we've been out here winging it. I've been out of the country and living abroad, living in Mexico, living in Colombia, and I haven't had a stylist like all this time. So any cutting that was done, it was just me, doing something or trying to do something. But also, even in that, my hair was still like super long, and like I got a lot of hair, y'all. My hair is thick, and I'm not complaining, okay, by any means. I'm just stating the facts that I have a lot of hair. So also, it's really expensive to have long hair because the longer your hair is and the more hair that you have, the more hair products that you have to use as you are doing your hair. It also is going to take more time because it takes more time to detangle and like all of that. And honestly, I was just kind of over it. So me and Raina had a conversation And I was like, listen, sis, we need to do something. We need to switch it up. Okay. We need to try something different. We need to see, what this looks like, sounds like. So shout out to the Patreon, to the Inner Circle and the Keepers in the Archive, because they helped me to decide on what my style would be. Now, this is the thing, y'all. I still did not go to the salon. I did it myself. And I want to show y'all a little snippet from the video of me actually chopping my hair and what that was like. Now, I wish I have the video from when I did my original chop, but that video is how do I want to say, the quality is so bad on that original video. So I'm not gonna play that because the quality just doesn't look good. But I want to show you the video of me actually doing the chop the other day. Okay. So I am notorious for doing these chops at like midnight. And I'm saying like I'm notorious for doing this. Like I do this all the time. I don't. But the last time that I chopped my hair was like in the middle of the night. Same here. It was probably about midnight that I said to myself, okay, it's time. So let me show y'all this right quick. Yeah, we finna get a new look, sis. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. We gotta stop delaying this. So here we go. All right. So I'm gonna take it down by half. This side is already shorter, significantly shorter, actually. You can see that. Okay. So this side, I'm gonna do this half. Oh my God, here we go. Ah, Raina, I love you, girl. Raina, we finna get a new look, sis. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, I'm cutting. Raina. Raina, my neighbors probably most definitely thought that I was talking to somebody, like an actual person named Raina, because I very much was in here screaming and hollering and hooting and hollering and carrying on as I was doing this chop. But y'all see, I got the scissors and I was like, we about to do this because why not? Like I've been putting it off for too long. So I'm still getting used to it. It's funny every time I look in the mirror or pass by the mirror. I'm notorious. I don't know. Do y'all be watching or looking in the mirror? Do y'all be looking at yourselves in the mirror? You should. Some people don't, but every time I pass the mirror, I actually look at myself. But I'd be surprised at myself, like, girl, where your hair at? Girl, is gone. But let me tell you what, I feel a lot lighter. And then this morning, even Raina's still a little wet right now, but even in the shower, like it just feels like I could literally do a wash and go and just kind of go on about my life. And so yeah, I'm figuring out, I'm playing with this bang situation here. I kept it long up top. And so we'll see if I like that and if I keep rocking with that or if I take it down more. And rock the short do for a little while. Now, this is the thing. When you have short hair, you have to wear earrings or else you look like a boy. That's what my family always said. Our parents and my aunts and them, probably my grandma used to be like, you always have to wear earrings because otherwise you look like a boy. So I did whip out some of my earrings. And granted, I have been wearing earrings consistently. I just always have my studs in, but now it's like more statement earrings. And this is the good thing, is that I used to have an accessory addiction. And So I have lots of different types of earrings. I just haven't been wearing them. So now it's time to kind of pull those earrings back out and, give a little bit of fashion and a look, some angles and a look and whatnot. So yeah, so that is what's going on with Raina. And I really feel like my curls are gonna like they feel much juicier and my hair feels more moisturized. Again, probably because I'm not having to reapply products as often and I'm able to really rely on water to give it the moisture that it needs. So we'll see. We'll see how this looks long term and how, Raina decides to show up in this new season. Okay, so stay tuned for the things, all right? Okay, let me do all of these announcements real quick so we could get into the things because I really want us to have a real conversation today about some things. As you may or may not have seen, the title of the episode today is Alignment Over Applause. They can talk, I will walk. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But before we do that, I do want to give us some updates. So the first thing, today is February 28th. Excuse me. And next week, we will have our episode at the same time. So that'll be March 7th. But the next day, Sunday, March 8th, there's going to be daylight savings time coming up in the US. Now, I live in Colombia. Okay, so we don't have daylight savings time here. Like time is just time, like it just continues. But the reason I bring that up is because the majority of my audience and the majority of you all that are watching are in the States. So it's important for us to remember that because some things are going to be shifting. So daylight savings time is next week, next Sunday. So not tomorrow, but the next Sunday. And y'all are springing forward. So you're going to be an hour ahead. So then I'm going to be on Central Time. Now, it's not for you to do all the math, right? I'm going to continue like doing things in Eastern Time. But because of that, 11 a.m., which is usually when I go live, 11 a.m. Colombian time is now going to be 12 noon Eastern Time. So the Frolicking Truth will now be coming on at 12 noon Eastern Time until daylight savings time goes back, okay? So that's a slight shift for a little bit. And so I want you to make sure that you govern yourselves accordingly, if you will, all right? The other thing is on Sunday, March 8th, we are premiering our newest podcast here on the Mind of My Black Ass Business Universe. Yes, insert the air horns and the applause and all the things here. I got to get me like a soundboard or something so that I can give, the proper reactions and responses to the things that I'm sharing. But pretend that there are air horns and things here and drop them in the chat if you are here hanging out with me live. But our newest podcast is coming up. It's called From Auntie with Love. And if you have been around, you've seen this trailer. But child, we're going to play it again. You know why? Because I'm excited about it. And it's a really big deal. So let's pause here for our trailer.
I don't know if y'all can tell it now, but we're excited.
Hey y'all, welcome to From Auntie with Love, a sisterverse of Black women reimagining life together.
They told me to put a pinch of brown sugar.
Who is they?
Who is they?
She's like a cookout.
I'm trying to think back.
Right?
You want to like go to a lounge? 4 aunties in different seasons of life with stories to tell, thoughts to spill, wisdom to drop, and side eyes to give.
That's how we'll have a mindful moment, a mindful booty moment.
Okay.
I'll lead us through a mindful booty moment.
One of my newfound commandments is that I will hold space for change and forgiveness.
Do not show up to anywhere that I do not know that you are coming, especially my house.
You're gonna find me with a drink high in the air in one hand and my body low.
Yeah. Let's get into the conversations that don't usually make it to the table, but they should, with love. Always. So I want you all to go ahead and mark your calendars, okay, for the premiere of From Auntie with Love. Again, it's happening on Sunday, March 8th at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's already scheduled, so you can already go over to the video and you can set your notifications so that you are ready and set. All right. This first episode, we're going to be telling our origin stories, who we are. I'm excited for y'all to meet the aunties. We have been having a really good time. Now, this is a pre-recorded podcast, but we are going to have live premieres. So we'll be in the chat during the live premieres and, just chuckling and kikiing and all the things. We love a good key around these parts. So I'm really, really excited about that. We've been working on this. And I'm really excited to see how it lands for you all and what you all think. And also what else like y'all want us to talk about, because we churning out the episodes, okay? So From Auntie with Love is going to be airing every other Sunday, all right? And so currently we have So You Don't Put Syrup on Your Grilled Cheese airs on Sunday. That is my podcast with my cousin Kalanda. We actually have an episode tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. So on the weeks that we don't have So You Don't Put Syrup on Your Grilled Cheese, we'll have From Auntie with Love, all right? So we trying to fill up this docket, y'all. We're trying to fill up the space over here on the network. Oh my God, it's a whole podcast network that's happening over here. So if you are creative and you are wanting to have a space to host your things and you want to be able to collaborate, please do reach out. Email me at mindofmyblackassbusiness@gmail.com with the subject line collab if you are wanting to see how you can get your creative endeavor off the ground so that we can support over here. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. All right, so that's that. The other thing, the healing circle is taking place. The next healing circle is on March 14th. So the healing circle is a space exclusively for Black women from anywhere in the world that are able to come into this space to reconnect to their bodies and reconnect to their breath. I partner with the Well Educator for the healing circle, and we do a yoga flow, we do breath work every time that we have the healing circle. And then we also have a theme for the month, okay? So in January, we talked about morning routines. In February, we talked about self-love. This month, we are going to be talking about our gifts and what that looks like to really honor the gifts that we have, which is also something that we're going to be talking about today, okay? So if you are interested in coming to the healing circle and you want to be a part of that community, please register at tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle. This information is also in the description. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to remember, just go into the description. And so we have the healing circle every second Saturday of the month. Now, the healing circle is taking place at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. So the healing circle happens on Saturdays, 10:30 to 12, and then at 12 noon, the Frolicking Truth premieres, okay? So we're kind of trying to put these things together so that we have this ecosystem going on, if you will. So again, if the healing circle is something that sounds like something you need, also, when is the last time that you stretched your body? When is the last time that you stretched your body? Okay, so this is a place for you to be able to come, be in community, to meet women from all over the world who are on healing journeys for various things. The only requirement is that you are a Black woman. All right. Now, if you're watching this and you're not a Black woman, tell a Black woman about it. All right. So that she can come and get some healing. So again, you can register at tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle. All right. Want to say again, I'm here live right now today in this moment. So if you are watching this, come on into the chat so that you can talk to me, talk to us, talk to the community as we are here. And I want to give a shout out to the archive. Okay, now the archive is the Patreon. That is the space where we are gathering to keep the things that are important to us. So everybody that is a part of the archive is a keeper, and you decide what you're in charge of keeping. Some people are keeping recipes, some music, some are thinking about the culture. Some are making sure that we laugh, child, and that we keep these jokes, okay? Because there's a lot that's going on right now. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot that's going on right now. But over here in this space, we are focusing on the things that are bringing us joy and the things that are going to keep us grounded during this time, right? So in the archive, we have different collections that you're able to go to and peruse through. For instance, we have the Inner Circle, that is my collection. We also have the Sunflower Path, where we talk about healing and restoration. We also have the Change Corridor, where we like power to the people, and this is the stuff that we need to do to make sure that we in line, okay? Then we also have spaces for each of the podcasts that I mentioned. So come over to the archive, check it out. You are able to get a 7-day free trial if you would like by joining through the Inner Circle. But the archive is $5 a month. And all of the proceeds from the archive go to support the projects that we have. So creating the podcast, ensuring that we're able to pay people and have a team and like all of that. So that's where the money is going to. So if you have $5 a month, we would greatly appreciate your support in joining the archive. It is deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated. All right. Now, one last thing. We have shifted over into this live model, right? Because editing was tearing your girl down. All right. I am not gifted in the area of editing. It takes a lot of time, and it really was a lot for me to try to manage over this last year. And so I had to give that up, y'all, because there's so much that I need to be doing, and I just cannot be sitting down editing for 3 days. Like, that is just not feasible. So because of that, we've shifted to these live models. So now we have 2 live opportunities. So if you're a part of the archive, you get to come and hang out with me on Wednesdays for our exclusive chats. All right. Now, this past Wednesday, I was talking to the Inner Circle about an energy healing session that I had. So last week, actually, I had told y'all that I was about to go to this energy healing session with Milana Snow, and I did that, and it was transformational. So I shared a lot about that during that time. I also was sharing some dating updates, child. It's so crazy out here in these dating streets. And one thing I just want to say, I'm not going to get into it because, that's what we talk about during during those exclusive chats. But one thing that I want to say is dating in a different country is still crazy. It's just in a different language, child. These folks are who they are. Okay. But we get into the dating things and what that looks like and sounds like. And then we be talking about the tea. So this is a time on Wednesdays for you all to come, and we do Q&As, and we really just hanging out for a little bit to get to know each other better. So that happens on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Colombian time, which is going to wind up being 12 noon. So if you want to be a part of that, you have to be a part of the Inner Circle, right? So that's how you get the entry ticket into that space. Now, Saturdays here where we're doing the podcast, if you just come, you participate, we got the things that we're talking about. You're able to share in the chat. You're able to build community. You're able to talk to the people. All right. And also, these are 2 completely different conversations, right? So what we talk about on Wednesday, we're not talking about on Saturday. So you got to have your face in the place so that you keep up with the things that's going on. Okay. All right. I think that's it. I think that is all of my announcements. So let's go ahead and get into our Frolicking in the Feed section. And this is the part where we talk about the different things that are happening out here in the algorithm. You know, all of the stuff that somebody asked me to spell Reina. Reina's name is spelled Reina. It's the Spanish word for queen. So Reina is spelled Reina. Also, click through to come into YouTube so that you're able to talk to me directly in the chat, so that I can see your messages. Okay. All right. So I want, again, frolicking the feed is the part where we talk about the things that are happening in the algorithm, the things that I have seen that may have made me pause, laugh, or cry, you know, what have you. And this week's frolicking in the feed comes from Tabitha Brown. Now, Tabitha Brown is someone that I have admired for a while, and I really appreciate Tabitha because her first book was called, I don't even remember, child. Let me look it up, girl, because I'm about to make something up, and that ain't about to be it. Let me put some respect on her name. Tabitha Brown. The first Feeding the Soul, that's what it was called. So Feeding the Soul was released in 2021. And one of the things that I appreciated within that book is Tabitha was talking about her spiritual gifts. And y'all know I be over here talking about the spiritual gifts, okay? And she has been very clear in telling people that what her gifts are and how to honor those gifts and what that looks like and sounds like. And so she made this video the other day that I want to frame our conversation around today. So let's listen in.
Hello there. You all right? So listen real quick. I want to say this the right way. So I personally was born with a gift, right? Some people call it being a seer, where, you know, I dream things that come to pass. Sometimes I dream of people I've never met that talk to me, people who have passed on, all the things. Ever since I was a little girl, sometimes I can see things in a room full of people. Nobody else can see it but me. I can hear things. These are all things I cannot control. But this has been my entire life, right? And a lot of times people don't like to talk about or believe in the supernatural, but it is very much so a real thing. I want to say to anybody out there who lives with the gift and who's obedient to it and have been called crazy and have been called witches and have been called all kinds of names, baby, sometimes you're going to just have to let them people talk. Keep being obedient to the gift that God has given you. Don't misuse your gift, but keep being obedient to it. I am a witness that when you are obedient to the gift that God has given you, when he shows you something and he tells you to speak on it, speak on it. If you hear something and he tells you to speak on it, speak on it. If you dream it and he tells you to speak on it, speak on it. Because that's how non-believers start to see, okay? But you're going to have to let them people call you crazy, and you're going to have to be all right with it. Pay it no mind. Keep on going. He has chosen you for a reason. He's trusted you with your gift, okay? So your dreams, the things you hear, the things you see, be obedient, all right? And that, y'all can always call Tab crazy. That's my business, honey, all right? Well, that's it. I love y'all, honey. Now go on about y'all business. Have the most amazing day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
So I left a comment on this video, and I want to read the comment because it's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. I said, I too have a prophetic gift of seeing and knowing. I made a post recently about people calling me a witch. I was so deeply bothered. I am learning to release it because I know God is guiding it all. I'm speaking on the things and being sure in knowing I am on my mission and in my purpose. Thank you for this confirmation. I'm grateful to be gifted. And so the title, I feel like I'm about to do a sermon, and I don't mean for it to sound that way, but also I'm very serious about what the things that I'm about to say. Alignment over applause. They can talk, I will walk is the name of the episode today. So back in 2017, um, I had a conversation with my pastor at the time. So I've talked a lot about from where I've come, like in the church world, and how things were showing up for me during that time. I talked about how I used to be really, really, really judgmental, and I used to be just sending people to hell with gasoline draws on, y'all. It was so bad, and it was just so ridiculous. And I spent a lot of time trying to figure out who I was supposed to be and what my life was supposed to look like as someone who is a believer in God, someone who considered myself to be a Christian at that time, and a follower of Jesus more so, because this is before I get into the things. This is my thing with Christianity these days, is that the idea of Christianity has been bastardized so much that you got to check when people call themselves Christians, or when people say God, or when they say Jesus. You got to be like, so who you talking about? You talking about Black Jesus or white Jesus? Are you talking about God, the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-present God? Or are you talking about your racist God that makes you think that you are supreme to other people? Like, you gotta check these days, right? So I've kind of stopped calling myself a Christian, and I consider myself now to be spiritual, but I also consider myself to be a follower of the teachings of Jesus Christ, because these new age Christians, these evangelical Christians, these Christians that are super religious, Jesus wasn't on that. Jesus wasn't on none of that. So I've kind of had to like find my own way and what this looks like and sounds like. So back to 2017. So in 2017, I was preparing to, and it was actually probably 2016 that I had this conversation, but I was preparing to enter into entertainment. I had been training to be an actor and model, and I was preparing for this calling that God had given me, right? I've talked a few times about how I had gone to this audition, and it was through this company called Actors, Models, and Talent for Christ. And the whole point of it was for us to get the quality training to be able to go into entertainment and be a light. Everything was about shining your light and showing up in a different heart space than other people, because we are connected to God, right? So I was doing that during that time. And I had a pastor at the time. And at this time, I was teaching Sunday school. I was on the praise team. I was in the choir. I was over the social media ministry. I was teaching the Sunday school teachers. Okay, I was deep up in the church. And so I go to my pastor and I'm like, oh my God, I've been called into entertainment. Like, I'm so excited, and I don't know like where God is leading me, but I know that this is going somewhere, and I'm really excited. And she looked at me and she was like, God don't want you in the wilderness. And I was so confusion, because I was like, sis, I know God. So I don't know what you're talking about being in the wilderness like that. I've never been in the wilderness. I'm not about to be in the wilderness. Like, what is you even talking about right now? And that was like the beginnings of me leaving that church, and also the beginnings of the deterioration of my relationship with that pastor, because she wanted to proclaim me to be lost when I was very much like, girl, I am out here on this search, like finding God for real, for real. And what's so interesting is since that time, I've been on this journey of really understanding who God is and the fullness of God and how God shows up in my life. And I have never felt closer to God since I have been away from the church and away from religion. Now, I know it's a lot of stuff going on right now that I'm not even acknowledging and speaking to about what God and religion looks like. I do have on my Delta Sigma Theta necklace today. I am Greek. And I know that there's a big like denouncing thing that's going on. And there's this YouTube video that's went viral and all of that. And people want to say that we were worshiping different Greek gods and all that. I want to definitively say that that is not the truth, and that has not ever happened. But the reason I bring it up is because there are so many people who are in religion that demonize things and call things demonic and call things witchery, and it don't even be that, right? I've told you all many times, if you've been here with me, that I'm a scientist. And so as a scientist, I'm very aware of energy, and I'm very aware of how energy manifests and how energy transfers from one form to another, and like what that looks like and sounds like. And so a lot of my beliefs are centered in science, as well as my lived experience with who God is and how God shows up, right? So I've been on this journey, okay? And I encourage everybody to be on a journey and to ask questions and to find answers, because one thing about God, God says, if you test me, I will show you. I will prove to you that I am God. And that is outside of these boxes that people try to put God in. All right. So back in, so I went into entertainment. All right. And one of my main roles that I had was as a talk show host with a platform called Beautiful Brown Girls. And so I was with Beautiful Brown Girls for 6 years. And over that time, I had a show called Brown Girl Boss. And on Brown Girl Boss, I had the opportunity to interview all sorts of brown women across the world who were doing amazing things. And every so often, I talk about them, and I've talked about them during the Frolicking Truth many times, like different women that have stood out. And one of the women that was one of my favorite guests was Milana Snow. So again, Milana Snow is a person that I had the energy healing session with last week. All right. But the first time that I was in Milana's presence was in 2020. Okay. So I interviewed her on Brown Girl Boss, and she was talking about this concept of energy healing. And she gave me an experience live on the show. So I want to show you all a little snippet from that show, because I credit this experience with the beginning of, or let me not even say the beginning, with the deepening of my healing experience, because in my healing journey, because I didn't even know that this type of thing was possible. All right. So the part that I'm going to show you from this episode is about listening and then about breathing. Okay. And I'll put the link for the video into the description so that you can go and watch this snippet. And you can also do this particular, what do I want to call it? This particular practice, you'll be able to do it yourself so that you can really see how it manifests in your own life and in your own world. And it really is just about honoring our breath. Okay. So let's take a minute to get in our way back machine, if you will, and take a trip back to 2020 with Milana and myself as she was introducing me to this concept of breath work and energy healing.
And I'm going to guide you in how this practice works. But one of the most important parts of what I find to be an inward meditation is that we close our eyes, that we can kind of signal to our brain that we're ready to focus on our inward experience. And that's kind of also going back to acknowledging that everything is within us and that we have the choice on how we feel. And so if you could just for a second, see if you can start to really listen to the way that I'm speaking. So go from hearing Milana's voice to listening to my voice. Maybe for the first time, you're noticing my accent. Maybe you're noticing my pacing. But just let yourself just listen, because one of the things that we can do when we start to practice meditation is to use our sensory system to help us become more and more present. So can you just listen to the words that I'm saying, but also listen to maybe the birds in the background, cars, people talking. And instead of trying to make everything silent or perfect, this meditation that I'm about to show you is letting all of that come in. And in fact, if you hear like a lawnmower or somebody yelling or an ambulance, I want you to invite that sound into your experience. So you're listening to it. Okay, great. Now, just as you're listening to my voice, notice how you're breathing. Just how are you breathing? Are you breathing shallow in your chest? Because when we were running from bears in ancient times, or tigers or lions, our body learned to breathe shallow. And that's the way that we have evolved to be in a stuck place of survival. So let's just notice if you're breathing from your chest instead of down into your lower belly, which is a comfortable, safe breath where your body and your brain are reminded that everything is safe. So just notice that and come back to listening again as you notice your breath. So I'm going to show you how to do this breath work by telling you with your eyes closed. It's a 3-part breath. You're going to breathe in 2 times and you're going to breathe all through your mouth. So the way that it goes, and you can practice as you listen, is you're going to breathe through your mouth into your lower belly so that your belly balloons out. And then you're going to take a second breath into the chest, and then you exhale out through the mouth. So it's going to sound like this. Or you could go faster if you want, or even slower. So keep that on repeat as you're listening, because what we want to do here is we want to drop down into our lower bellies, which literally is telling our instinctual brain, I'm okay. Everything's safe. You don't have to panic. You don't have to run. I'm relaxed. And when you breathe into that upper chest, you're literally saying to the heart and the mind, we're going to give you more oxygen. We're going to support you so that you can do more of your work, heart, more blood cells with oxygen, brain. And then you exhale it out. So continue that breath, and we're going to come back to that drop-in, just like we did in the very beginning of this program. And that is, how am I thinking? Because sometimes we have thoughts, but they're not actually how we feel. Sometimes there's a disconnect there. So turn your listening from listening to the outside world to listening to your thoughts. Even if it's just for a second, what are you thinking right now as you continue to breathe? As you continue to breathe, what am I thinking? Now, sometimes people will say, oh, I'm thinking that I don't like the way this is going, or I'm thinking I need to go and finish this, or I forgot to call this person back. Whatever that is, notice it. Be right with that. Notice that this is a pattern.
So I want to pause there for a moment and just kind of underscore what Milana was sharing during this video. and how the practice of breath work shows up for us in our bodies and in our spirits. So one of the things that she mentioned is about oxygen, right? So oxygen is a key part in our bodies being able to function. We need the element of oxygen to create energy, for instance, through the process of cellular respiration. Oxygen is necessary for our blood. And oxygen is necessary for our body to know that it is safe and that it has the things that it needs to be able to support life and all of that. And one of the things that we often do, clearly we're breathing because we're alive, right? But we have been trained to have these shallow breaths that really do not oxygenate our body deeply. And when we are breathing from a shallow place, it makes our body feel like we are in survival mode. Now, brain research is something else that I talk about over here often. And when we are in survival mode in our brain, the only thing that we are asking ourselves is, am I safe? That's the only question that is ruminating, whether we're doing that consciously or whether we're doing that unconsciously. And so when we engage in this particular breathing practice where we have the 2 inhales and then the 1 exhale, so the first inhale into our belly, the second inhale into our chest, and then the exhale, it forces our body to go into a space of saying, I am safe. I am safe, I am calm, I am relaxed, right? So we're able to shift how we're feeling with a simple breath. What I love so much about breath work is that our breath is with us all the time. Nobody can take that away from us unless, they take our lives, but knocking on wood, that's not happening, right? But our breath is always with us. It's free. So we don't have to pay any money for it, right? A lot of times when we think about self-care practices and we think about healing practices, a lot of times we think about things that cost money, and breath work is something that is absolutely free, absolutely accessible. Anybody can do it from any phase of life. You really just have to create the time to be able to breathe. And so with that particular breathing pattern, it allows us to calm our brain, to calm our nervous system, and get ourselves into a place where we are able to hear from a spirit place and not from all of the the competing thoughts that are there and present in our minds. So I had that experience with Milana back in 2020. And as the video continues, I wind up like emotions come up, and it's okay. Like it is something I often call it emotional constipation, where we have like stuffed down so much within our spirits and within our bodies that we don't even realize how clogged up we are. So this particular breath work and this particular practice allows us to be able to pull that stuff out so that we can release it. Crying is one of the ways that our body resets itself, is one of the ways that we release toxins from our body. But unfortunately, a lot of us have been conditioned to believe that crying is negative and that it's something that we shouldn't do and something that we should suppress. I see the comment here, Geraldine said, I enjoyed that exercise. Yeah. And so it's something that we can do anytime that we are feeling unsettled, or we're feeling like we need to calm ourselves and we need to tap into the power that we have within us. So Milana she just wrote a book. It's called It's All Within Us. And in the book, she gives 4 tenets that kind of guide everything in the book. The first thing that she said is experience is greater than analysis. And by that, meaning our lived experience and us experiencing the world is going to be more powerful than all of the thinking and analyzing that we can do. So a lot of times, especially now, I'm a big proponent of therapy. Okay. We need to have good mental health, and we need to have mental health support, and we need to have mental health specialists that we work with. All right. I'm a big proponent of therapy. But one of the limitations a lot of times in talk therapy is that we are doing a lot of thinking and not a lot of feeling. Now, granted, I didn't learn how to feel until I turned 40. Okay, so around the same time in 2020, all of this was happening at the same time. And I had a therapist at the time who was like, what's your deal with feeling? Like, why don't you want to feel? And I told her, I was like, I feel like if I start feeling, I'm never going to be able to stop. Like, I'm just going to be crying forever. Right. And that's when she was talking to me about that's because you've been stuffing so much stuff down. But once you clear those pathways, you have the opportunity for feelings to pass through you. That's how feelings are supposed to behave. They pass through us. They come, we feel it, and then it moves on. I had not experienced that, right? So for that first tenet, experience is greater than analysis, it really is about allowing ourselves to experience and allowing ourselves to feel without trying to think our way through it. Allowing our brain to release control so that our body can do what our body was designed to do. I don't know if y'all know that our body was designed to heal itself. Our body was designed to give us cues and clues about what we need. I had talked before about another lady that I interviewed on Beautiful Brown Girls named Nzinga Onewusan. And Nzinga focuses on food and how certain cravings show up because we are craving certain things in our bodies and certain things emotionally, right? And so our lived experience is going to give us more information and more insight than any of the thinking and intellectualizing that we might be feeling like we need to do. What's the comment? Feelings are forced suppression since childhood. Some of us been pushing down feelings since childhood, and that's a lie. I've been on this earth for 45 years. Now, how long you been on this earth, right? And so that's a lot of time. If we haven't learned how to feel and allowed ourselves to feel, that's a lot that we have to get up, but it's possible. It's possible, right? So the second tenet that she has in her book is that everything is for your use. I have a saying that I used to say all the time, that everything happens on purpose with purpose. Nothing happens in our lives by accident or happenstance. Even the things that are uncomfortable and the things that cause us to experience things that are not necessarily pleasurable, we are still able to use that in order to help ourselves and to support ourselves in our healing journey, because we learn things from every experience that we've been through, right? We learn how to trust ourselves more. We learn who to trust and maybe who not to trust. Like, we learn things from all of the experiences that we have. So keeping in mind that everything is for our use and that we are able to shift the way that we're experiencing the world by the way that we are viewing the world and the way that we're experiencing the world. The next tenet that she put in here is what you resist persists. So this again goes to, if I'm resisting the need to feel, that is going to continue to be persistent because my body is saying, hey, we need to deal with this. And we really need to put ourselves in a position to be able to hear what God is trying to say. God is always talking to us, y'all. God is always talking to us. God is always there. There are always messages that are coming through. It's just, are we allowing that to come through? So if I am resisting that awareness, it's still going to persist. Like, I still have to get there, like eventually. You know how they say, like, if you don't learn a lesson, the lesson is going to keep coming? Because our job is to learn the lessons so that we're able to move on to whatever the next thing is that we're supposed to do. So allowing ourselves not to resist, but to embrace and to support ourselves with our breath and understanding the power that we have within us. And then the last tenet that she has is set and setting matter. So understanding that our environment plays a big part in how we are experiencing the world. This is something that I really used to take for granted, and I really didn't even understand how much my environment played a role in my life until I came to Medellin. When I came to Medellin for the first time in 2021, I had another therapist. I've had a lot of therapists over time, okay? But I had another therapist that told me, she was like, I want you to pay attention to the environmental factors that you experience when you go there so that you know what you need to have in your environment to feel safe and whole and connected. And so something I realized on that trip was I need nature. I need to see green. I need to be able to touch grass and have plants around me, which is something I was very, very resistant to for a lot of my life, even though I have this whole biology degree and took plant physiology and like all of that, but like growing plants was not something that I ever felt was like a part of my life until I started thinking about the setting, and that when I have plants around me, when I have living things around me, again, that gives energy. Right? That gives energy, and it gives me a sense of purpose in watching this living thing grow. Like if y'all have never planted seeds before and watched those seeds grow, it is like so fascinating to see one day nothing is there, and then it seems like all of a sudden this thing like just springs up, when the whole time there's been work that's been happening underneath the ground, and the roots have been developing and the system has been developing in order to create this support system to sustain life, you know? So putting ourselves in a position where we're able to honor our environment is always going to support the healing journey that we're on. Let me grab a couple comments. Okay. We resist our body's natural functions. Yes, we have to stop doing that. I just learned in my late 60s to feel the feelings, but don't stay there. I was stuck in the feelings. Yeah. And so that happens because we are emotionally constipated. We're in this space where we are feeling stuck and feeling stagnant because we haven't had the opportunity and we haven't had the practice to be able to allow ourselves to feel. So being able to do a practice like breath work is getting us out of our heads and into our body, so that our body is able to do the work that it needs to do without my brain resisting the work that needs to be done, right? It's interesting because before I had met with Milana last Saturday, she asked me, she was like, before we did the breath work, she was like, how are you feeling? And I was like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, I'm feeling this like fear of what's going to happen. And she was like, that's very natural because we forget that we are spiritual beings, because we have to spend so much time in our physical world and like in the physical world and like being whatever that means, like whatever our different contexts look like in the physical world. We forget that we're spiritual beings and that we have God within us. We forget, like you're talking about Jesus on the main line, like Jesus is in us, you know? So like we forget that because we spend so much time in this physical world dealing with other people's stuff and trying to figure out life and dealing with systems and wars and like all the stuff that's happening, that we forget that we have this power within us, or we have never connected to it. So we need to learn, you know, what that looks like and sounds like. So she was like, we are spiritual beings in this world, and it's important for us to put ourselves in these spiritual places so that we are able to access what God wants to do and get the downloads and the uploads, if you will, about how we're supposed to move and what our mission is and what our purpose is and all of that. And so she told me that. And then the other thing that she told me was, we're not in this world alone. And we have the collective energy of our ancestors within us, whether we are tapping into that energy or not. So without going into too much detail, when I did the energy breathwork session with Milana, she had me do like a visualization exercise. And I had the opportunity to talk to my grandmother, my great grandmother, and my great great grandmother. And it was really wild. Now, this is not the first time that I've had this experience. There is a therapy technique called EMDR. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And it is a strategy that is used to help people who have experienced trauma. Because what happens as we're talking about things getting stuck, right, is we get stuck in places where we have had traumatic experiences. And then our brain feels like it's in our short term memory. And so we feel like it's happening right now, as opposed to having had the opportunity to process it, to feel it, and then to release it, so that our brain is able to move that into long-term memory and then know I'm safe. I'm not in that situation right now in this moment. And there's so much, what do they call it? Epigenetic markers that we carry with us. So when I say epigenetic, I mean like we have our ancestors' blood within us, right? Hopefully there's no disputing that, right? We have our ancestors' blood within us, but also we carry the traumatic experiences with us until somebody in our bloodline is willing to say, hey, I need to actually deal with this. For myself, I got that message probably when I was about 8. So I remember being 8 years old and knowing that I was going to be responsible for breaking generational cycles. I didn't know what that meant at the time. I very much thought that it meant that I was going to have my own children and my own family, and I was going to be like this amazing mother, and that's how I was going to break that cycle. That none of that has happened, right? Because that wasn't the actual assignment. The actual assignment was to be in a position to awaken people to who they are, who God sees them as, and to honor the people that have come before us. So on my healing journey, I found myself a lot going back to my ancestors and what they had to do in order to survive and what they had to do in order to make sure that I'm still here. Now, the thing that's been kind of difficult in this is I don't have a lot of information about my ancestors. My grandmother, we didn't have a close relationship. So now that she's gone, so my grandmother died in 2017. So now that she is gone, I know that she's trying to write things from the other side, and I am learning to welcome that and to get those lessons from that. My great grandmother died when I was 7, so I definitely really didn't know too much about her. And then my great great grandmother never knew and just learned recently that she is indigenous. And so I have been like on this like discovering journey, if you will, of who were these women and how did they sustain themselves and how did they show up and what practices did they do, and how did they connect to the earth, right? So even for instance, when I mentioned plants, so my mother liked plants and likes plants. And I remember her like going into this plant phase and like growing things and all that kind of stuff. And I never thought about it as something like to be passed down generationally. But then I remembered my grandmother also grew. And so my grandmother lived in Mississippi, and she had land or crops on the land. I don't remember what she was growing, but I remember her growing things. I remember my great grandmother had a fig tree that was outside her house. And I remember her making like fig preserves and things of that nature. And then knowing that my great grandmother was indigenous, I'm knowing that there was some type of connection to the land. So it only makes sense that I would go down this path of gardening and plants and biology. But I wasn't really able to make that connection before because those pathways weren't open for me to really understand, like, this is your lineage, like this is in you, it's within you, right? So it's been really, 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 really interesting. And it's caused, how do I want to call it? I think there are a lot of misunderstandings, if you will, about what it means to really be connected to our cultural practices. And a lot of that is because of colonization and white supremacy culture and the things that people have told us are witchcraft, right? And so, episode 4 of The Frolicking Truth, the title of the episode is Who Told You That Was Witchcraft? Because I was in my old apartment. I had moved into the apartment and I remember I was like trying to reset my energy. And I was saying to myself, like, it feel like I just need to do something to reset my energy. And so I put on some praise and worship music. And then I had burned some sage and some incense. And I was going into each room and I was like praying in that room. So in the bedroom, I was like, God, I want to bring peace into the space, that there are dreams where you're able to communicate with me, that when my head touches the pillow, that I am having restful and restorative sleep. I remember going into the bathroom and, I live with OCD, so bathrooms are very difficult for me. And so I was like, I want this to be a place of peace. I want your spirit to be in here, that when I come in here, that I feel supported and I feel connected and I'm able to hear from you. I really do believe that water is a portal for how God communicates to us. So a lot of times when we're in the shower, we get different downloads and all of that. I have not necessarily done the research about that, but stay tuned, that's coming. But anyway, while I was doing that practice, I had this moment where I was talking to myself and I was like, now they claim they're using sage as witchcraft, but how is this any different from using holy oil or holy water or all these other rituals that are present within Christianity? How is this any different? Why are y'all saying that that's not witchcraft, but this is witchcraft? In that church that I was telling you about, where the pastor told me, don't be in the wilderness, we used to come in and do intercessory prayer before the services, and we would read this like prayer, but like this incantation is really what it was. And it was like, we're calling forth this and calling forth that. How is that different than what you're saying is witchcraft elsewhere? Like, so when we're using words and we're using words like witchcraft, like, where did that come from? And who said that that's what it was? And keeping in mind that a lot of our practices as Black people and Indigenous people and people who are of the diaspora, a lot of our practices are cultural practices that we were told were demonized, practices that kept our ancestors from long ago, right? So I did an African ancestry in 2020, and my African ancestry came back that our people on the maternal line are from Cameroon. And so then that got me curious about what the practices were in the African existence of my bloodline, right? So I bring all of this up just to say that I'm really shifting and moving into a different space. Okay. And I really have to be who I am actually called to be and not worry about what people are calling me. So to Tabitha Brown's point just a little bit ago, They're going to call you what they want to call you. They're going to label you what they want to label you. They're going to tell you that it's witchcraft. They're going to say that you're crazy. They're going to say that you don't know what you're talking about. They're going to say that you're in the wilderness, right? They're going to have to say that. They just gonna have to say it, because I have to be authentic to who I am and who I am called to be, not who people are wanting me to be for their own comfort or for their own whatever, their own limitations in their relationship with God. Because it be blowing me, like the way that people put God in a box, and the way that people say, Kev on Stage had made a post just yesterday, and he was like, one of the questions that he always used to ask in Sunday school is, okay, y'all are telling me that Jesus is the only way to be able to get to God. But what if there's somebody who grew up as a Buddhist and their family is telling them the same thing? Like, that's the only way that you can get to God. And he was like, the people at the church were like, those people are going to hell. And it's so reductive, and it's wild to me in this phase of life, because there are many pathways to God. There are many pathways to God. So why are we saying that God can only exist in this one pathway? Why are we saying that God can only exist? For example, Jehovah's Witness, and I don't know a lot about the Jehovah's Witness, but one thing I do know is that they say that it's only 144,000 people that's going to get to heaven. Well, what happens with everybody else? So everybody else going to hell? Like, why are we putting limits on God and saying that God is only going to show up for certain people in certain ways? This is a question I've always had, and it's a question that I have come to understand that that's just not the truth. It's not even, the other day I was doing some research, and they were talking about when the concept of hell came about. Like hell being this place that you're damned to for all eternity, and like all of this, that came about through colonization. That came about through white people trying to scare Black people, enslave Black people into doing the right thing. If you don't do what I tell you to do, then you're going to go to hell and you're going to burn in the eternal lake of fire. And I always had conflict with that, because I was like, how y'all saying that God is this loving God, but also that God would like find joy in sending people to hell? Like, I just don't understand. Come to find out, that is something that was constructed by man. So the invitation is really to take the time to get to know God for ourselves, and to have a personal relationship with God, that we have inside of us the compass for how we are supposed to move, and how we're supposed to show up, and how we're supposed to treat other people, right? Because just a little bit ago, when I was talking about Christianity, the Christianity that they will have you believe is Christianity today is nothing about what Jesus taught. Jesus said to feed the hungry, to clothe those who don't have clothes, to house those who don't have houses, to care about children, to protect and honor the most vulnerable. And Christianity today is about hatred and harming those people. So how you gonna tell me that you serving God? That does not align. That does not align. So if I am putting myself in a place where you're saying to me, it's okay to genocide a whole group of people, it's totally fine. And then you want me to believe that God is okay with that? Like, y'all cool? Like, are y'all all right? Because that just sounds so wild to me. It should to you, you know? So anyway, it's I am at this place in my life where I'm like, I need to get the answers that I need. And I want to support people in finding their own pathway to God, and understanding who God has created them to be, how God has designed us like uniquely. Like we really, God like took his time with us. And that's if you call God a he, because that's the other thing. Some people, I'm on the journey of degenderizing God because I feel like it was such a mistake, maybe is the best word. I don't know, that it is, let me say, it's inaccurate to take God that is not human and then personify God and then put God in this box of human limitations, right? So some folks are like, God, universe, the divine spirit, like whatever's, right? I'm still working on that because I very much have thought about God as a father figure, but also God has shown up as a mother figure for me as well, right? But anyway, I think the most important thing is to be able to build that personal relationship and understanding God took time with us. God took time. God took time to design us. God took time to give us all of these unique qualities and characteristics that are supposed to show up within the way that we view the world. And the way that we show up in the world. So I'll give you some examples. So my gift is as I'm a prophet. So I see and I know. And a prophet is known as a heart revealer. And so a big part of the work that I do is in helping people to understand God's actual heart, not the way that God has been personified and even demonized in some ways by people. So, who is God actually? Like, how does God actually show up? God is love. And there's a period at the end of that. God is love. And so, one of my gifts is in helping people to tap into the love, the deep, everlasting, deeply penetrating love that God has for each of us, that made God take the time to uniquely design all of these things about us, right? So, one of the things that we have to do in understanding our gifts is first to understand that we're all gifted. We all have a gift, every single one of us. And you can choose to use your gift for good, or you can choose to use your gift to cause harm. So, in my gift as a prophet, that can also be used in a way to harm people. So, for instance, one of the things that comes with being a prophet is discernment and like the quick discernment, quick deciding this aligns or this does not align. One of the ways I used to misuse that was judging people, right? So I would be like, you don't know God and you going to hell, right? That is a characteristic to be able to quickly judge, but I was devoid of grace and mercy and understanding that everybody is along for their own journey. And so my job is not to damn somebody to hell. My job is to invite them into understanding who God is and what God's heart is. So for every gift, we have uses of the gift and we have misuses of the gift. And so it's our job to learn what those uses and misuses are so that we are not causing harm to people, even if that is unintentionally, right? So in my gifting, I inspire people to see God through understanding how God sees us. And it always goes back to that. Like it always goes back to we are uniquely designed with a unique purpose. God did this on purpose. Me and all of my shenanigans and the way that I, advocate for people and the way that I am always like leaning towards justice and being willing to speak up when nobody else is saying anything. God uniquely picked that out. And he said, let me see, because Kimberland, okay, I need her to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I also need her to have some sass. I need her to be an out of the box thinker. I need her to be willing to stand on her own. Because that's the other thing, too, is when you're gifted, spend a lot of time by yourself. Because people don't understand. Because people don't understand. So it can also feel like a very lonely journey because you have gotten instructions and other people don't understand, right? So I, in my gift, have to know that so that I'm not taking off my square, if you will, um, when people don't understand, when people talk, when people call you a witch, right? When the whole time me and God be hanging out every day, all day long, right? But because somebody else is perceiving it through their limited understanding, then now they have labeled it as something that is not. So again, my gift and my role is wanting to help people to see God through how God sees us. Okay, so that we are able to truly understand. So I want to pause here for just a moment, and I want to share the Discover Your Destiny commercial. I also need to run and get the fan right quick because, child, I am burning up. Okay. So let me go ahead and play this right quick, and then we'll pick up on the other side of these. What if the thing you've always called too much was the exact thing God designed on purpose? This is for the ones who've always known they were different. Too sensitive, too loud, too knowing, too intuitive, too woo-woo. But what if your sensitivity is actually your superpower? What if your intuition was your inheritance? Discover Your Destiny is a 10-week sacred journey back to yourself. We explore the design of your soul, your spiritual gifts, and the unique way that God speaks to you. This isn't church. It's not a rule book. It's not a performance. It's the moment you stop chasing approval and start walking in divine alignment. You'll gain clarity, language, and confidence around who you are and what you are here on the earth to do. You'll learn the real voice of God. And if you feel called to go on to become a certified intuitive melanated life coach, this is where that path begins. There are 2 ways to enter this sacred container: the Destiny track, full investments and coaching experience, or the Divine Exchange track, where internship meets soul work. You'll support podcasting, content creation, or brand development behind the scenes while learning how your unique gifts benefit the collective. Your knowing isn't a flaw, it's the fingerprint of God. This is your invitation, and I hope that you'll answer. All right. So, let's talk a little bit about Discover Your Destiny and the work that happens in Discover Your Destiny, and then we're gonna get out of here. Okay. And so a part of what was there was something I did not an energy healing session, but I did what did he call it? A life path reading that I did with one of my life coaches. So I certified life coaches, and one of my life coaches, he is working on developing his practice and what that looks like to honor his gifts. And we did this life path journey, if you will, with some cards, using some cards. And one of the things that came up is the question was, what has expired or something like that? Like I think it was like, what is expired? And the card said silence. And I took that to heart because one of the things that I often struggle with is like what to say, what not to say, and if people are listening. And I really just had to make this definitive choice that I'm going to say what I'm supposed to say. And the people that need to hear it are going to be the people that are going to hear it. And I really can't worry about how people feel about what I say, because my instructions are my instructions. And I would prefer to be obedient to those instructions by choice instead of by force. I have been in many situations over my life where God has told me to do something and I didn't do it, and then the block got hot because I didn't do it. Okay. So I would much rather be in a position to honor what God is telling me to do and not worry about how people feel about that, because I know that I am following what God has told me to do. So when he did that reading with me, and it's been over a few times, even when I did the energy healing session, the consistent communication that I keep getting is, you need to talk about what you do, because there are people who are looking and people who are asking and people who are wondering. So I want to take a minute and talk to y'all about Discover Your Destiny, and then we're gonna get out of here. So Discover Your Destiny is a 10-week program, and basically what we do is we introduce you. You take this journey to understanding who God is and how God shows up in your life. I do not tell you who God is and how God shows up in your life. I do not tell you how God has designed you. We do it through some assessments and then through you taking time to understand who God is for you. One of the biggest things that we do is we work on practicing building a conversation pathway with God. So for me, that looks like God will send me emails. That was the first thing that I asked for God to do back when I was trying to understand, like, God, is that you, or is this the spaghetti sauce? Like, what's happening? God sends me emails. Like literal emails. Like I get literal emails. They're not like emails that say, this is God, but they're emails about things that I prayed about. And they show up as emails. I also get messages through songs. I get messages through different animals. So like sometimes there's a tree that sits outside my window, and yellow is one of the colors. That's my favorite color, right? And so sometimes God will send me this yellow bird that sits in that tree, and I just notice it. And then it's like, what does this mean? Or like God sends me bees. My cousin Kalanda has talked a lot about God sending her ladybugs. So it's like God is always, 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 always talking, right? So one of the main things that we work on is, what is the pathway that God uses to talk to you, right? So that's one of the questions that I would like for you all to answer in the chat or in the comments. How does God talk to you? How do you know that this is God talking? And you might be saying to yourself, I don't know. Okay. And that's fair as well. So then the question to God would be, well, this is the first question I want you to ask yourself. What do you actually pay attention to? What do you pay attention to? So if you're a music person, for instance, when a song like catches in your spirit. So I'm also neurodivergent, right? So I'll listen to a song on repeat for like forever until I feel my spirit tells me to move. But let's say you're a music person and God talks to you through music, or you feel things through music. Okay, so God, send me a song. Send me a song that's going to catch my spirit, right? And then you put on your playlist, maybe you press shuffle a few times, and then you wait on the song that catches your spirit. That's the message that you needed to get. Or maybe you're somebody who reads a lot of books, right? So, you might ask God, what book should I read? And then you wait to see where your spirit feels led. You start reading that book, and maybe there's a particular passage in that book that you need to get. So building that communication pathway with God is something that we focus on in Discover Your Destiny, because that is how you are knowing what happens on your journey. We also take some assessments for you to understand what your spiritual gifts are. And like I said, I'm a prophet. I'm also an apostle. An apostle is a dream awakener. And I've seen that come about in various times. I remember one time I was at this conference and I was talking to this lady, and we were looking at maxi skirts. This was during the time where like a lot of people were wearing maxi skirts. And she had mentioned that she made maxi skirts, or like her and her husband sold maxi skirts or something. And I was like, well, when are you all, starting your business? And she like looked at me like, what? I was like, when are y'all starting your maxi skirt business? And she was like, oh my God, I just finished talking to my husband this morning about doing that. Like, I didn't know this lady. I didn't know nothing about that lady, but I knew that God had deposited that thought in my head to be able to communicate to her. So the biggest thing that we work on in Discover Your Destiny is being able to open those channels and those pathways. Y'all see things coming full circle. Y'all see things coming full circle. Okay. So, one of the biggest questions I want you to ask yourself is, how does God talk to you? And then my next question is, what is your gift? We are all uniquely gifted, every single one of us. We all have a gift, and that all manifests in different ways. So you might also be a prophet or an apostle, but like, for instance, here in the comments, it says medical subjects, infections, and control. I'm a servant. So someone who is in healthcare, for instance, that is your gift, right? So then that's your vehicle for how you use your gift. So what is your gift within that vehicle to help people to understand who God is and how God shows up in your life? Okay. So there are 5 different gifts that are present, and I'm thinking about like talking about these during this time to kind of give us a little bit of insight over the next few weeks or whatever. But I'm gonna list them off, and I want you to let me know which one you feel like resonates with you. Again, either in the chat or in the comments. So the first is apostle, dream awakener. Then we have prophet, heart revealer, evangelist, storyteller, pastor, soul healer, and then teacher, light giver. So which of those feels like it resonates most with your spirit? Which of those feels like there's a calling there that you align with? When I talk to people who are evangelists or storytellers, it'd be so funny because they be telling stories. Like, that's how they communicate with people. That's how they connect with people, through telling stories. And some, y'all know people in your life, they always got a story to tell. They'd be like, well, one time this happened and that happened, right? Or someone who, for instance, is a teacher. I see here in the comments, I'm a CPR instructor, right? So you're giving light to people for them to understand and connect and to make things make sense and to break down complex things into things that people feel like they're able to access, right? So what is that gift? And how are you supposed to be using that gift through the vehicles that you have in front of you? And how is God speaking to you to give you the signs of what to follow? I see here, greeter at church and curious about prison ministry. Let me tell y'all a funny story right quick about prison ministry. Okay. So I don't remember what year this was, but at my church, there was a program to support teenage girls who were in the juvenile justice system. And I know one of my callings is to girls and young women. I've always had some type of mentoring program or something, whether it's with girls or with adults, but I'm always in this position of supporting girls and young women. So I'm thinking to myself, this would be perfect. Like, I would love to be able to support these girls and like figure out what this looks like and sounds like. Child, I went down to that, and this wasn't even like prison. This was juvenile justice, baby. I remember pulling up. So first off, they told us, they were like, don't bring anything with you besides your keys. Don't bring nothing in here but your keys. And also you're gonna need to leave the keys with the people, right? So I get in there and you check in and you give them your keys, you give them your ID, all the things. So then they're like, all right. And this day we weren't even meeting girls. This was just for like the training orientation. So I turned in my stuff or whatever, and then they were like, all right, we're gonna go into the area where the girls were, but there was like this classroom that was like off. So if there's a hallway, there's a classroom right here, and then it opens up into this common space where the girls were, okay? So they opened the first door, right? So they got the keys and they're like clink, 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 bang, bang, right? So they open the door, and so all of us go in. Then they slam that door behind you, right? Then they lock that door, right? So then there's another door that's like clink, 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 like just a lot of clinking and a lot of heavy doors, okay? So we opened the second door, and the girls couldn't even see us, but of course they know the sound of the door, right? So they was like, "Who is that? What's going on?" Like, it was just a whole lot, a whole lot. It was a whole lot. It was a whole lot. Let me tell you something. After that, I said, this is not my ministry. This is not my ministry. This is not for me. I felt so nervous and like just it was just a lot. It was a lot for me. Okay. So that's not my ministry, right? But that might be your ministry. You don't feel any type of way, or it's not something that's jarring to you, right? Because that's the place that you're called to. That's what we're trying to get to, is understanding for us to have this communication with God, right? To know how God is speaking to us. Then when God puts things on our heart, then we're able to follow that path and honor the gift that we have to show up in that space. That is what Discover Your Destiny is about. That is what the work that I do is about. And so I'm grateful for those of you who have gone through Discover Your Destiny. There have been quite a few people. At this point, there have been upwards about 30 to 35 people that have gone through Discover Your Destiny. There have been 5 people that have already gotten certified to be an intuitive melanated life coach. I'm currently certifying 2 people, 2 more people to become certified melanated life coaches, intuitive melanated life coaches. But that's the work that I do, because I know that my mission is to help people understand their unique design and calling so that they're able to have a deep personal relationship with God. Okay. And that is what I'm going to be focusing on from here on out. I know, y'all, that the world is falling apart. I know it is. And also, I cannot consume myself with that, because we have work to do. We have real life work to do out here in these community spaces, so that we are able to sustain ourselves in this next level of life. Okay. And that is the space that I exist in, that healing space and that creative space. So y'all are going to see my content shifting over into that space, and really thinking about how I can support us in showing up in our gifts and honoring who we are. So I'm grateful that y'all are here. And often, if you are saying to yourself, this doesn't align, I also don't take offense if you are taking the off ramp. I really don't. I appreciate the time that you've been here, and I appreciate your support. And also, I am very clear in what I am supposed to be doing at this stage and phase in life. And so I wanted to communicate that and let y'all know, because I think it is really important to be clear in where it is and what it is, and who I am and where I'm going in this phase in life. So I invite y'all along for the ride if you are willing to stay. And if this is your off ramp, I wish you the best. I wish you the best. And I want you to know that I send you with all the love and all the light that I can muster up. Okay. So that's it for today, y'all. That's it. That's all. Y'all drop me some sunflowers. If you resonate with that, I appreciate you. I do want to go ahead and get ready to wrap by sharing our final thought that I have here for us to think through and think about, keeping in mind that our assignments for this season and for this episode is for you to ask yourself, how does God talk to you? Okay, and for you to develop that relationship with God, whether that be through animals or through different gifts, or different, I didn't mean to say gifts, through different media outlets, like that is your thing to figure out. So I would like to invite you to do that and to share that with the other folks that are part of this community. And I want you to share with me what those gifts are in the chat, in the comments, as you come to understand what those gifts are, okay? So our final thought as we get out of here is from Audre Lorde, and it says, your silence will not protect you. Our obedience is not up for debate. Okay, God is giving us very clear instructions. And so it is up to us to follow those instructions and to honor what God is telling you to say and what God is telling you to do. All right. Being silent is not going to shield us from anything. It's the time to speak up and speak loudly and clearly about how God is showing up for you and showing up in your life. So remembering that our obedience is not up for debate. Okay. God is giving us the instructions, not the crowd. So let them people talk. Let them people say what they're going to say, because they're going to say it regardless, okay? Our job is to walk it out and honor who God has created us to be. All right. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Minding My Black Ass Business Network with So You Don't Put Syrup on Your Grilled Cheese. We go live at 11 a.m. Eastern. Please join myself and Kalanda to, we got a lot of shenanigans and laughs that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. So please do mark your calendars for that. And we'll be back here for the next episode of the Frolicking Truth next Saturday. And if you want to be a part of our exclusive chats, come on over to the Patreon, the archive. If you go to patreon.com/mindingmyblackAssBusiness, you'll be able to join us there. And then you can get the exclusives and all of the things that are happening behind the scenes in our Minding My Black Ass Business universe, okay? In my world, all right? So again, thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate y'all so deeply. I love you, Nanan. Thank you for being here. And I'll catch y'all next time, all right? Bye.